A lineman depends on three types of equipment to climb a pole: climbers, a body belt, and a safety strap. He trusts this equipment with his life, so he must be sure it's in top condition. If a strap on one of his climbers should break, he could easily fall. Or if his safety strap is frayed or worn, it could give way when he leans back into it. Let's take a closer look at a lineman's climbing gear to see how it's kept in good condition and inspected to make sure it's safe and comfortable to use. Most utility trucks have a special compartment for storing body belts, climbers, and safety straps. This compartment usually is reserved for personal climbing gear only. That's to make sure other equipment isn't thrown in on top, possibly causing damage to the climbing gear. It's important to wear the right kind of boot for climbing. The boot heel should be large enough to keep the climbers from sliding back, so that force is applied under the arch at the shank of the boot. The shank of the boot should be strong and stiff so the climber doesn't cut into your foot. Now he'll inspect his gear to make sure it's safe to use. He'll start with his climbers. The calf pad and straps should be in good condition with no cracks or tears. The same goes for the ankle straps. The gaffs on his climbers are kept covered with guards until he actually begins climbing. Guards keep the gaffs from getting dulled or chipped, and they also protect the lineman and his other equipment from the gaffs. Straps should be adjusted so the climber fits snugly. You'll often be stand climbers for hours at a time, so it's important that your feet be as comfortable as possible. If your feet hurt, you won't be able to concentrate on your work, which could lead to a fatal mistake. Your body belt requires the same sort. There should be no cracks or tears in the leather. And the tool pouch, hammer, and tool bag should be securely fastened so they won't fall. You also should always check the tongue to make sure it's not worn to the point where it might slip and possibly cause you to fall out of your belt when you're leaning back in it. The next thing to check is the position of the D-rings that hold the safety strap. They should be just in front of your hip bone body. Too far forward and the strap will squeeze inward uncomfortably. The safety strap, often just called a safety, should also be checked for excessive wear, frayed spots, cuts, or nicks. It should be replaced if it has any of these defects. Make sure the adjusting buckle is firmly attached with its pin in the belt hole. And inspect the snaps to see that they're in good condition. The spring safety catches must work properly to make sure the snap doesn't come out of the D-ring. The other snap should also be checked to make sure it's securely fastened to the D-ring. If the snaps don't work properly, the strap should be replaced. Now that he's certain his climbing gear is okay, the lineman's ready to check the pole for rot. This should always be done first before climbing a pole. It sounds like there may be some internal rot at ground level. The upper part sounds okay. To see how much rot there is at the bottom, he'll have to dig down below the surface. This will take some time, so he'll take his climbing gear off to protect it while he's digging. It's a good idea to dig down at least 18 inches. Now that he's dug the hole, he'll hit the pole again. Doesn't sound too here either. So he'll have to investigate further before climbing to see how deeply the rot is penetrated. A pole that's rotted severely could actually break while the lineman's climbing it. So his next step was to drill into the wood and take a core sample. In this case, that will show the wood be dangerously rotted and the pole had to be replaced. Let's look at a demonstration to see how to distinguish a dangerously rotted pole from one that's still safe to climb. The drill should penetrate to the center of the pole, but no farther. Then the chips are examined to see what condition the wood is in. These chips are hard and brittle, That's a sign the wood is sound and the pole would be safe to climb. To see what rotted wood looks like, let's try a sample from another pole. These chips are soft, almost mushy. The decay has penetrated all the way to the interior. Severely decayed poles should be replaced, but in order to remove a bad pole, the conductors and equipment have to be transferred to a new one. That means a lineman may have to climb the decayed pole to transfer them. To make a severely rotted pole to climb, a lineman may have to temporarily support it with guy ropes. Let's look at an illustration to see how that's done. This is a view from above a utility pole looking straight down. These represent the two cross arms, and this is the top of the pole. These are conductors, and these are dead insulators that attach the conductors to the cross arm. A permanent guy wire connected to an anchor in the ground supports the pole in this direction. The guy wire opposes the pull of the conductors, which support the pole in this direction. There are no wires supporting the pole in this direction or this direction. So here's where the temporary guy rope should be placed. One on this side and one on this side. The pole is now supported in 4 directions and can be safely climbed. Some companies may also require the butt of the pole to be secured as well. So make sure you're familiar with your company's policies.